And welcome back. It's another rainy day here, so I decided to put this engine on my little cart here, wheel it outside, and give it a good wash down. What I'll probably do is take the side covers off, everything that's, silver, and I think I'll paint up the engine. See how that turns out. I do have to put a thread insert in here because that one was no good when I removed the starter earlier. Alright, well, I have to get this up on a bench and I'll start taking it apart. So I got this engine up on a table. I guess I want to take off all these covers that are nice and shiny. These, I don't know about these because of the valve adjuster. Maybe we leave those. One thing I'm finding out though, this is all like gasket maker, Permatex type stuff all around this cover, this cover. This cover, yeah, it seems to be everywhere. I do want to get rid of these, so I may just remove this whole thing, clean that gasket, and put a new one in anyway, rather than just doing one at a time. This way I can see if that chain adjuster is stuck or if it's actually working. One thing I noticed is that these have balance screws in them. That I didn't expect. If I did get a balancer, I could actually do the CB354 cylinder and I could do this engine. Although twins are pretty easy to do in my opinion, I think. Well, we'll see. All right, I'm going to start taking stuff off this engine. What if that head gaskets, or that base gaskets have been replaced? 444 cc. That's the thread I got to fix. Yeah, look at these covers out. I can adjust the valves. Let me get this off first. See if that does anything. If it does, we'll just put it back on because I had kind of adjusted it once already. Well, these are just caps that are glued on. I wonder if that's why this was here. I wonder if they had some glued on here. This is loose to the touch anyway. Huh. Alright, well, that's good. Get those off anyway. I got the charging side off. And I got the clutch cover off. Very clean inside here, which is a good sign. This gasket has been replaced, obviously. Now, it looks very clean down by the oil filter too. Now to check the centrifugal filter. These clip removers, these things are pretty ingenious. So when I squeeze them, they go apart. When you switch it over this way, you squeeze them, they go in. Pretty ingenious. I'll get this clip off, we'll remove that cover and see how good or how bad it looks. Honestly, it's clean inside there. I'm shocked. Usually these things are full of junk. This one's got like nothing in there. That's cool. All right. Another win. Oh, I got all those covers off too, the ones that were glued on. Ugh. That's disgusting. So this is the exhaust side, and usually the exhaust cam is the one I think that gives you issues. This one looks good. The chain does not have slack. That's good. Looks clean down inside. These have the torsion bar valve springs, or valve, yeah, I guess they're valve springs. So no actual spring. So I believe when you do the valve measurement, it's up here, not down actually on the valve itself. I think it's right on the rocker where the cam meets it. I took the intakes off, put that cover back on. Right now I think I'm going to polish up these covers, probably spend the rest of the day doing that, and then I will see you tomorrow. All right, next day for me, the engine's dry. I scraped all the gaskets off the rockers, the intakes. I taped everything over, got some rags protecting some of the other stuff, and I've given it 2 coats of paint already. One more coat, and I think she's finished. So I've got my taping undone. So these covers are still aluminum. I got a squirrel or something running across the top of the shed here. So, interesting fact. When I took this cover off, I pulled all the bolts out. And then I had to tap it with a hammer to get it off. So there was no bolts up here, but yet I found a washer down there. One for like a 10mm bolt for like one of these. I do believe this engine has been rebuilt at some time, or a part. That was a new gasket, and that gasket right there was not the original gasket. Another thing is, I was wondering why there was so much play in this shaft. This clip here, the slot is back further, so this isn't even in the slot it's supposed to be in. It's supposed to be back much further. So I'm glad I caught that. Now, I can adjust the valves on this, put the covers back on. I got to replace all of these bolts. I'll do them one at a time and torque them. I do want to replace these bolts as well. They've got glue and stuff all over them from those caps that someone had put on. But yeah, once I get this engine done, to the point where I'm going to put it back on the floor, I'm still waiting for the O-rings for the fork tubes. What a journey those things have been on. They were supposed to be here 4 days ago. They went from where they were shipped, which is Ohio. I live in Connecticut, so if you know where a map is of the U.S., the next state above me is Massachusetts. They went there, where they always go to the central hub before they come down here. Well, they went to South Hadley, Mass. And when I saw that, I was like, that's not right. So then they had to go back to Springfield, Mass for the second time. Then they got shipped down to Manchester, Connecticut, which is not far from me. And then got shipped back to Massachusetts again for the third time. And now it's a holiday and there'll be no mail, so it won't be till sometime next week when I get them. All right, let's move that clip and I can start adjusting the valves. But what I was saying is, once those show up and I get the forks together and I'll have the engine done, I got a bunch of stuff painted. I think I don't need this big space anymore for what I'm using it for. And I could probably bring the frame in and start putting stuff together. Okay, valve adjustment. So there's my little pointer. I've got it on top dead center on the left cylinder on the compression stroke. Now, from what I've read, and I'll show you this, the standard valve clearance, a K4, which is what this engine is 0.03 millimeters or 0.0012 inches. However, some experienced mechanics, like those at Common Motors, according to a support article, have found this to be too tight and recommend a slightly looser setting of 0.003 inches or 0.08 millimeters. So here's my 0.08 millimeter or 0.003, and even that's too loose. Way too loose. All right, so I guess I'll be adjusting these. So I got a 16 tooth front sprocket. I believe the original was 15. I decided that I wanted to go up a tooth so it won't have as quick takeoff at the bottom, but it should have a little bit less RPM, let's say, at the top. And I thought I was doing the smart thing, but someone else beat me to it. The gear it had on there was also 16 tooth. Huh. All right, well, I'm just replacing what it had then. I'm back. New day for me. So I want to replace this seal, and I want to replace the seals in here. They should be coming today. The mail is so far behind, which is why I'm behind making videos. This one we can put the neutral switch in. I have bolts coming. They're not here yet. We can put this side cover on after we get the seals. These are not the correct bolts for this. This was some I had laying around, see if I could get them to fit. We do have the seals for the O-rings for the fork tubes now, so we can put those together. I'm trying out a new mic, those DJ Mic Minis. So we'll see how the audio comes out. All right, let's get going. Probably not going to have the best angle for this. I'm just going to get a screwdriver in here, try to pop this seal out, hammer it out. Sometimes these things are stubborn. Never want to play nice. It's just a seal, come on. We're making any progress here? It's kind of all beat around the edge here too. I don't know if it's moving or not. Keep trying it, working at it. Oh yeah, it's moving. Now I just got to hope I have the right one. That spring all beat up. Now, it's one of these two. No, it's not that one. All right. It's definitely this one. We'll put some grease on that. Make sure we clean it out good in here. And this is for the kickstart shaft. Of course I dropped it. Oh my goodness. All right. And that's all there is to that. Sometimes you wait days and days and days just to get an envelope like this, which contains a couple of O-rings that you need because you need to put them inside here. All right, let's do the forks. So we're going to put some grease on this O-ring. We'll just pop it into its groove. Down in here. Come on. Didn't want to get grease all over the chrome, but I'm going to end up doing it anyway. All right. Put a little extra grease here on the threads. They sell a tool. It's like a half circle, and it's got screws coming out. And those screws you can tighten in, so they clamp into these rings, and that's how you can tighten these. I don't have such a tool, though. I'm going to put some grease also on the fork seal itself. Now I got to get one of the shafts, or one of the stanchions. Make sure that this is all clean. Oh, I don't have a spring in there. That's right, I want to forget that. Probably should put some grease on this too. All right. Now, there's like one thicker section right here. We will slide this down, being careful with our seal. Grease up the threads a little bit. We will tighten this as much as we can by hand. Then I'm going to put a strap wrench on it. Get some of this grease off so it doesn't slip. And finish tightening it with that. That's about as far as that's going to go. Now this will take fork oil. I forgot how much. I have it saved somewhere. And yeah, we'll go to install it after we get done with that. And we'll work on the next one. All right, it says my other package was delivered, so I'll be right back. My oil filter O-ring set came. So one of them goes on here. This is the part that goes by the centrifugal filter. And the other two are going to go over here. We put this one back on with the big circlip. Okay, one of these goes around here. This is the one I was worried about. This one really looked kind of bad. I think that's the fatter one. That one goes in a groove. Then you have the thinner one, which sits out here. That one goes here, and then this one sits in here. Now this can only go in one way because there's an oil hole here and an oil hole here, and they have to line up with a hole here and a hole here. So no matter how hard you try to mess this up, these screw holes will only line up one way. Okay, so with this cover on, the wires here are run around. The neutral switch holds the wires in. There's a little tab that lines up. Then these will run out the back. So I just got to get a couple of screws, make sure that tab is lined up exactly correct, and tighten those. So I'm using a bolt instead of a screw with a lock washer and Loctite on it. Because one thing I don't want is one of these screws to come out and fall down in there with the chain. We're going to see if we can test this neutral switch too while we got it installed. Okay, those are tight. Okay, to test our neutral light switch, I have the wire that runs to it, which grounds out when this thing's in neutral. I have that running to a lead that runs to my multimeter. I have another wire that leads from my multimeter to the case. So it should have continuity between this wire and ground when it's in neutral. Okay, which is that beep you hear. So now, if I turn the engine a little here, okay, put it in gear, it should go away, which it does. Okay, come on. See this gear moving. And when I put it in neutral again, and this gear stops moving, it comes back on. Okay, so that tells me that this switch works. Okay, what I've done now is I found top dead center again. It won't stay there because of the valve springs are trying to turn it all the time. But I want to remove this whole points plate, get the advancer out, clean that up, and then put the electronic ignition in it for now. That's out. We'll take that bolt out and we'll get these out. They're moving pretty smoothly. That's good. Yeah, so that does move pretty well. But I think I'm still going to have to take this off. Okay, following what it says in the instructions, I put the new rotor on, put these back on. I got to put the little washers and clips back on. Hopefully I did it right because there's two different one of these plates, and they orient in different positions, but I believe I have the right one for the instruction that I looked at, so I mean, we'll find out one way or the other. So I put the pickup plate in. I had a couple of screws that I've had hanging around as spares. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to end this one here because I don't have parts that I've been waiting for. But next time, I should have this all buttoned up, off the table. Hopefully we can get the frame in here, start putting stuff on it, and then work on getting the motor back in it. I want to thank you for watching. Take care, and I will see you on the next one.